Namaste, my name is Prakash Chitre. I am an independent researcher and the author of the book Our Intellectual Heritage. Drawing from one of the chapters of the book, I have prepared a set of videos uh, named Archaeological Evidence of Ancient Indian Knowledge. The archaeological evidence of such knowledge is one of the 12 distinct groups of evidence which I was able to identify and classify in my research. And all these 12 groups are discussed extensively in various parts of various chapters of my book. In case you'd like to know what those 12 groups are, please refer to my interview by the Center for Indic Studies of the Indus University of Ahmedabad. I provided the link to it in the descriptions column. First, an acknowledgement. Organized farming, Lahora Deva, Uttar Pradesh. Evidence of paddy cultivation dating back to circa 9250 BP, older than the evidence found in China by about 800 years, by several thousand years than that found in Turkey. What they found at Lahora Deva was fossilized rice and several farm implements. On the basis of their studies of all these from various angles, they were able to come to they were able to infer that organized farming was taking place there nearly more than 9,000 years ago. Kalibangan, Rajasthan, a plowed field with a cross grid of furrows found outside the town wall. And Kalibangan existed or flourished between 5,500 to 4,500 years ago. Migration of the domestic mouse from India. Genetic evidence shows migration of the domestic mouse from India to its east, China and Southeast Asia, as well as to its west, beyond Afghanistan to Europe, over 12,000 years ago. Now, the genetic scientists are able to determine the direction of migration by studying the diversity, not frequency, of the mutations of the haplogroup concerned in two regions. A haplogroup is, in the case of human beings, for example, a haplogroup is a group of people who have a common ancestor. Now, two brothers don't form an haplogroup, but although they belong to the same haplogroup. Uh, but these are, let's say, distant people from distant regions, different parts of the world. Their haplogroup, their full DNA sequences are studied, and from the DNA sequence, they can trace the ancestry, how far back it goes, and there are various ways in which they find out if two groups have the same common ancestor, which may have lived 10,000, 15, 20,000 years ago. But if the idea is that if two people from two different regions, or not two people, just but many people from one region have the same haplogroup as many people from another region, it means that there must have been migration of people between these two regions. Uh, Frequency shows proliferation of people. Uh, that is, what percentage that particular haplogroup forms, the people, the number of haplogroups in that region form as a percentage of total population. So proliferation may have taken place due to any number of reasons, and the direction has nothing to do with it. Whereas diversity does. Now, diversity means the number of mutations of the haplogroup concerned that have taken place in two regions. See, mutations in any haplogroup take place over a long period, hundreds and thousands of years. Now, if a certain haplogroup has been in a particular region, say region A, for many thousands of years, you'll find the haplogroups, various haplogroups have had many mutations there. For example, R star, and let's talk about human beings. Now, R star, which originated in India, it has a number of mutations here in India itself. That is R1, R2, or R1A1 or R1A1A. Now, how it helps them determine the direction is these groups, like R1A1A, has and then it's present there in Europe as well, apart from India. But in India, the mutations of the R1A1 haplogroup are much greater than the mutations of the same haplogroup in Europe. So, on the basis of this, the scientists are able to come to the conclusion that the migration of human beings must have taken place sometime in the past from India to Europe. Uh, that is one of the reasons why they study the uh, full DNA sequences, and to understand the migration patterns. What applies to human beings in this case applies to animals, etc. also. The greater is the extent of mutations of a given haplogroup in a region, i.e., its diversity, the longer the haplogroup has to have been in that region, and therefore it is the source of migration, and the other is the destination. The domestic mouse is connected with settled agriculture. Therefore, this evidence indicates A. Cultivation of food grains in India on a large scale, its movement out of India, and C. Since long distance exports of food could have been undertaken only after satisfying local demand, as the latter is imperative, cheaper, and less arduous to undertake, it also suggests more than adequate cultivation of food grains in India. That is why there was export taking place, and which is indicated by the movement of mice from India to its east and west. Continuous habitation in the same limited region for thousands of years could perhaps suggest organized farming. There are several archaeological sites, such as those at Jwalapuram in Andhra Pradesh, Dhaba, Bhimbetka, and Ambadevi in Madhya Pradesh, Ratnagiri, that is Konkan region in Maharashtra, etc., where there is evidence of human habitation for several thousand years. If it was continuous, as is believed to be in the case of Ratnagiri, this Konkan region, where over 1,000 petroglyphs from 12,000 created more than between 12,000 to 10,000 years ago, continuous period. It could perhaps, though not necessarily, mean a settled life and therefore also organized farming. Now, I'm suggesting it only as a possibility and certainly not even probability, let alone certainty. Ancient Indian universities, and other centers of education. A fairly large number of ancient Indian universities have been discovered and examined by archaeologists so far. I am only listing some of these here, but not discussing them in any detail, since I have done that in some other chapter. Another chapter meant only for the Indian universities. Northwest and North, Takshashila. It exists. It is there in that part of Punjab, which is in Pakistan now. It was established 2,600 years ago. Some scholars believe that it was established 200 years earlier, that is 2,008 years ago, and flourished for 11 to 1,300 years till the 5th century CE. Takshashila thus is the oldest discovered university any part of the world. Sharda Peeth is there in the Pak occupied Kashmir region. East Nalanda uh, was founded in the early 5th century and came to an sudden end in the end of the 12th century CE. Nalanda is the most well-known ancient Indian university along with Takshashila. It's in Bihar. Telhara and Vikramshila in Udantpuri. Pushpagiri and Ratnagiri are there in Odisha. Uh, Jagatdala, Sompura, and Bikrampur are in the part which is now Bangladesh. Central India, Ujjaini, before 2,300 years ago, and was there till the 12th century CE. Ujjaini, incidentally, had a very well organized department of astronomy. They even had a proper observatory. It's not to say that the other universities did not have proper astronomies, but as far as one could find out, Ujjaini had an observatory as well. South, Nagarjun Konda in Andhra Pradesh, Kanthalur in Tiruvananthapuram in Kerala, Vallabhi in Gujarat. The ones marked in red are the ones where 64 subjects were taught. It shows tremendous width and depth of ancient Indian knowledge. Uh, of course, the number of subjects and what those subjects were, etc., is all part of textual evidence and not archaeological evidence. So, I should not discuss it in this part, which is this set, which is meant only for archaeological evidence. Uh, but besides these universities, there were many prominent centers of education, such as those at Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, Kashi, that is Varanasi, Kashmir, Kusumpura is in Patna, Mithila, Mysuru. Mysuru, well, in fact, was a very major center of education for mathematics. Ujjaini, before an university was formed in Ujjaini, Ujjaini was a center of education as well. Uh, I should say only this much with the more details, the textual evidence were a lot more about these universities I have discussed in presented in my book, but I should not talk about it here because it's only about archaeological evidence that we're talking. As you saw in this set of videos, due to our long intellectual history, stretching over many thousands of years, we have an extremely large number of rich archaeological sites, very many of which reflect the knowledge of our very distant ancestors. While many of these have been discovered, protected, and are being studied in depth by many brilliant archaeologists, marine archaeologists, geophysicists, and other scientists, men and women, who have dedicated their professional lives to preserve and study them, we still need many more. Many more brilliant young minds are needed to take it up and sweat it out to add to the efforts already underway. Just as important is the need for more and more of us to know about them and to understand what they represent, the intellectual and civilizational heritage of all of us Indians, irrespective of our backgrounds, ethnic or any other background. Something we Indians can very well be proud of without, of course, being disrespectful to any other civilization or peoples. This brings me to the end of my part 8, that is, end of the set of the archaeological evidence of ancient Indian knowledge. Thank you very much, viewers, for taking interest in watching these videos and for your time and patience in doing so. I sincerely hope that you like them. Please do write your comments, queries, so that I can respond at the earliest possible. Namaste. Thank you very much once again. Goodbye.